All right. Thank you for hopping in here and joining us today. I want to talk about being interested, having a hobby versus being interested versus being obsessed. I had a mentor of mine kind of put this presentation on in a quick few minutes last week, and it really got me to thinking. I actually had a completely different subject for today. And after listening to that, I kind of spent the next few days reflecting on it and thought, you know what, I'm going to switch the subject for Monday morning because I think it was a really valuable lesson. And the actual lesson comes from Tim Grover, which is he's like one of my favorites. And as a matter of fact, I'm so glad this came up because I listened to his first book on Audible called Relentless. So if you, after watching, I'm going to give you a YouTube video to watch after this. It's like an hour long, and I don't think you really need to watch it. You could probably put it on and listen to it in the car when you're driving. It's just kind of some snippets of some interviews with Tim Grover. And if you don't know who Tim Grover is, he's like a legendary inside coach that Kobe Bryant hired, Michael Jordan, and some of the very, very great basketball players. Now, I believe he still does that kind of work, and he's also hireable to speak at, corporate events and things like that. He's extremely expensive. But his book, Relentless, I remember listening to it a number of years ago, and Luke, my son, had just started playing basketball, and I think he might have been in 6th or 7th grade. And while Luke has the potential to be really tall, his father is 6'3". His father didn't get his height until after high school. So it's bad timing if you want to be, have that height for sports, right? Because Luke's probably going to shoot up to that 6'3", but he's actually one of the shortest in his class for boys. So while he could have been a little more obsessed with basketball and probably even at his height done very well, he wasn't going to get that height, which puts him at a disadvantage because one of his best friends who was on varsity last year as a 9th grader, which is almost unheard of, is like double his size. It's funny to see them next to each other. So I had him start listening to this with me on the way to and from work. And please don't judge me as a mother, because Tim Grover, right in the beginning of his book, says that if foul language bothers you, this book isn't for you. You should close it and walk away, because he's a little relentless in the book with his language and foul potty mouth. But sometimes when you're trying to get a point across or train people or be obsessed about something, you go over the top. And that's kind of what that book is. And I do highly recommend it on Audible, only because he reads it. And I always think when the author reads their own book, it's actually, maybe he doesn't read it. I think he does, though. If it's not, it sounds like him, and it does the same value. But it is a really good book, and I think I want to review it after having this lesson taught the other day. But I had Luke start listening to it when he was starting his little basketball career, because we didn't really know where that was going to go, right? And so I had him listening to it on the way to school and on the way home from school, because I drove him every day to and from, and that maybe made me a little obsessed. I'm not sure what it did for Luke, but I'm hoping that at a young age he learned some lessons out of it, and it wasn't on how to use foul language. So the lesson that I was taught last week comes from things that Tim Grover talks about a lot and has trained on. So this video that I'm going to leave you guys with after this, you'll hear a lot about this in that training. But what Jason taught us the other I don't know, last Wednesday or whatever, was, when you have things in life that you're looking to go after, they can be thrown into 3 categories. And he put hobby up first, then interested, then obsessed. And to me, I almost think that interested comes before hobby, only because you can have an interest in underwater basket weaving or something silly, and it can become a hobby because you've been interested in it, and then you start kind of doing some research and figuring out if something you want to spend your time on. And then when it becomes a hobby, you actually start spending some time on it. But one of the things that he was talking about was, when we're just interested in something, we can, love to spend some time and energy on it. But what happens when we lose interest? Our desires can change about things that we are interested in. You might be interested in something that's just there for a season, You might be interested in something because of a friend of yours or a family member was interested in it, or maybe the friend or family member was obsessed with it and it made you interested in it, right? We can talk about that all day long in our businesses with side hustles. A lot of times people get involved in these side hustles or growing a business from home because they see a friend that's obsessed with it and went all the way to the top and did all of the things. So they become interested in it. And maybe it becomes a hobby for them, which is, I would say, about 95% of network marketers or people who think they're going to create a home-based business. I'll almost say, like, people who create these home-based businesses or get involved in network marketing because they want this side hustle or this extra income coming in are much different than people who go out and open a brick and mortar business. Let's use my favorite, Susie, the donut shop lady. Susie that owns the donut shop versus somebody who sells vitamins and shakes, right? Susie has to get up every day and go turn the lights on at the donut shop, make the donuts and get them out. Or Susie has absolutely no business and cannot pay the rent and cannot pay the employees and cannot create an income for herself. She's obsessed because she has to be, because if she does not show up, her business does not run and she does not make any money. People who create these side businesses and businesses from home that they can work from their phone or anywhere, most of them are just interested because it sounds like a good idea. But if they don't go and turn on their phone and start reaching out to customers to let them know what they have to offer that day, 10% off, free shipping, whatever it is, then they just don't. And they just don't have as many sales for the week. But because they don't have a brick and mortar store that the door has to open for, they can choose not to work that day and just barely scrape by building their side hustle. That person is treating this like a hobby and that they are just interested in it, because the interest level can go up and down each and every day and absolutely never make it anywhere, which is what 95% of network marketers do, unfortunately. So I really loved what Jason was talking about last week, because even though I feel like I am an obsessed individual when it comes to my businesses, I also realized when you really look up the definition of obsessed and you start going back to what Tim Grover, coaches and teaches and trains those elite athletes, I ain't anywhere near that. And I really needed that gut check to say, Jess, are you really obsessed? And I'm not saying be obsessed with your product or your service. I'm saying be obsessed with your goals. Because if you're obsessed with your goals, you will operate with your product or service in a completely different capacity. And it's not even just specifically about the product or the service. Obsessed about the whole business in general, there's other things that need to come into play besides just selling the product or service. There's team building. When we're talking network marketing, obviously there's team building, there's leadership, there's being obsessed about personal development, being obsessed about growing. Now, let me take a step back from that personal development thing. And I heard the word, might have been from Billy, and you're on here. I've never heard this before, and I absolutely loved this term. Zoom zombies. Are you obsessed with your goals, or have you just become a Zoom zombie where you show up to all the things, but you're not really doing anything? You're just showing up to all these different Zooms that people are putting on, because now that we figured out that this world can be virtual for us, we put on all these Zooms and ask people to plug in and give them the times and the dates to show up there and all the different topics. And they are showing up to every single one of them. So people who see them on there think that, wow, that person's obsessed with their business. They must be doing great. But then they get off the Zoom and they do nothing. So when it comes to personal development, you can be obsessed with it, but then you got to take that personal development and execute. Learning how to execute your personal development and the things that you're learning is like one of the most valuable skills. Unfortunately, we have these Zoom zombies running around and showing up to everything to be like, Coach, I'm here. Coach, I'm here. You see me, I'm here, I'm showing up. But then you can see the results of that. Nothing produces because, well, we can see all of that, right? So don't become one of those Zoom zombies. Definitely up your game, become obsessed with your personal development. One of the highest or most valuable things you can spend your time and money on is personal development, but only if you first learn how to execute when you're done with that, or it's a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted money. Most side hustlers are just hobbyists. So I really, after kind of going through this morning and thinking about and digesting what Jason had taught us last week, I really wanted to share all of that with you guys, because I want you to take the, gotta unmute her. I want you to take those three things: hobby, interested, and obsessed. And I want you to evaluate your business, and not even necessarily just your business, but your goals. Like, how obsessed are you? We talked about picking that one goal that we're all going to work on together throughout the rest of this year, right? I've got mine. It's all on my goal sheet. I asked you guys to fill that out a couple weeks ago. If you have it filled out, you might be on your way to being obsessed. If you still are like, oh crap, I forgot to fill that sheet out still, we're definitely not near the obsessed category. I have that dollar amount written on fake checks. You don't have this. It's in the Hustle and Slay Facebook group that you can print it out. But I have these upside down. I have these written out for the same dollar amount and posted all over my house, in my bathroom, on my desk. I'm thinking about putting one on my car dashboard. Like, that's obsessed. I want to be obsessed with that dollar amount. I want to visualize it. I want to earn it, but I can't just put it there and do nothing. I have to then be obsessed with the tasks and the skill sets and the things that are going to actually get me there. So a couple of things from Tim Grover. Winning requires you to be different, and different scares people. Some individuals compete to just finish, right? We've got the task, we've got the goal, and we just want to get to the finish line. And some people win at winning. You're either interested in your goal or you're obsessed with your goal. Interested is a hobby. Obsession comes in the small details that no one really pays attention to. So when you're sitting back and thinking about your goal, the one big, hairy, scary, we all picked one a couple of weeks ago that we were going to work on for the rest of the year. Are you just interested in hitting that? Are you just doing the, get up and do the things and robotically move throughout your day and check the boxes and do the IPA Zooms? It's why we kind of stopped the madness on a lot of those IPA Zooms, because they were turning into Zoom zombies. Having people show up every day and tell them to go post on Facebook or in their stories was making my stomach hurt. I'm sure it was yours too, Kristen. While we want to give some people a place to come and work on things together because we're all working so virtually, it was just turning into the same few people showing up to those and checking boxes each day. That's just interested. That's just a hobby. That is not obsessed. Obsessed means you hop out of bed in the morning and you are going to run with every spare moment that you have towards that goal that we set out. You don't need a Zoom because you are obsessed with winning that goal. You are obsessed with getting across that finish line. You are not just interested to hop on Zoom and check some boxes. If that's how you think you're going to get there, you need to reevaluate and figure out, if you're not obsessed with this, then do you want me to yell in the microphone? I'm just kidding. Kristen asked me to say it louder for the people in the back, so I figured I'd just get closer. I want you to decide if you're obsessed or not. And if you're not, maybe this isn't what you're supposed to be running towards for the rest of this year. Like, I'm obsessed about that number. I have a plan. I know where I'm going. There is a piece of that I work on Tuesday mornings with you guys that are working towards the same goal. But I know what can happen at the end of that if I achieve that number. And if I achieve that one big, hairy, scary goal that I'm running after for the end of the year. There's a few things I'm obsessed about, but you know what? They all come down to the same thing. It's my goals. I'm obsessed with building businesses. I am obsessed with building people, but what I'm really obsessed about, what makes me hop out of bed in the morning. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Transparency you guys know me. I'm not looking like I got ready this morning, right? It was a little bit of a late night with some friends over last night, and then it stormed and woke us up in the middle of the night, and I just didn't get very good sleep last night. So then Luke woke up this morning. He worked really hard, 3 solid days over the weekend. He was worn out. He did not want to go to school this morning. It was like a morning, right? And I was like, I just can't today. I thought about, I've got some personal business matters I have to take care of with family today, and some medical issues. So I'm going to be on the run. Everybody's okay. Just, you guys don't need to call, but it kind of switched up my whole day today. And I woke up this morning in kind of a funk, like I don't wanna, and I didn't get my workout in this morning. I did not shower and get ready. I don't have my today's task sheet filled out. I fell behind this morning, and boy, do I feel it. That's not being obsessed, but sometimes we also need to like give ourselves a little bit of grace when our schedules and life's hecticness hops in the way. But you know what I did? I got up anyways. Could I have canceled the Zoom at the last minute because I had a lot that had to get rerouted today? Yes. But I'm obsessed with other people's goals too. I'm obsessed with making sure it happens for you. I'm obsessed because I've done this for over 3 years, every single Monday morning, minus just a few. I'm obsessed with where I want to go. I'm obsessed with where you want to go. Help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want, right? So I knew that if I just sat down, got my work done this morning really quick, and still got on the Zoom and squeezed it in, I'd not only be doing myself a favor, but I'd be helping a bunch of other people to get their week started right. And I didn't want to be the person who didn't show up for that, because I'm obsessed about where I'm going. I want to grow. My post on Facebook this morning, if you haven't read it yet, I mean, definitely scroll past that one to the one I posted last night, because it's completely out of line, and you'll enjoy answering it, and or at least reading like Erin Jarrell's answer, because she was really embarrassed after she put it on there, and she made a point of saying that. I'm just kidding. That was last night's post. I want to talk about this morning's post. So this morning's post was, I watched a reel by Gary Vee, who's absolutely obsessed. Would you not agree that Gary Vee is obsessed about what he does? He's absolutely obsessed. And so he's somebody I follow because I like obsessed people. That means they are working towards something massive, and I want to follow their behaviors. So I've been watching some of his reels lately, and one a few days ago, he was sitting in a room with a guy who's like, I think he said he's 57, construction guy, really wanting to up his game. And they get in this conversation about age. And so that made me think over the weekend too. And one of my very favorite quotes, used to be a background on my Facebook years ago for like 2 years, was a quote by C.S. Lewis. You're never too old to start a new dream or dream a new dream. And I was like, that reel made me think of that, because he talks about, you know, when you're in your teens and you're like looking at your 30-year-old uncle or cousin, you're like, oh my God, he's so old. That's just weird. He's so old. That's old. That's going to be ancient. And then you think about, you know, your 50-year-old uncle or parent or whatever, and you're like, that's ancient. I can't even imagine being 50 years old. That's so old. And then you get there, and I'm 45, and I think Gary Vee says this, he's somewhere around 45 or 47 or whatever. And he's like, I feel like a kid still. And I do. I look at myself and I'm like, I still have so much to learn. I don't even feel like an adult yet. I look at my parents and I'm like, I'm still the kid, and I'm 45. And at 13, I thought 45 was ancient, like over the hill, remember? But I have so much I still want to go do. And unless you become obsessed with those things that you want to accomplish, they are really just hobbies. So I want you to sit back today and rethink that goal that you have for the end of the year. And I want you to decide how obsessed you are about obtaining that and achieving that. And what are the things, this is all about what we Zoom about. What are the things that you are going to do to get you there? And does that look like hobby behavior, just interested behavior, or obsessed behavior? Sydney and I were on a walk this weekend through the neighborhood, checking out the garage sale, and just talking about business and business partners and what the teams are doing and not doing. And we're always plan do reviewing. How can we motivate more? What else can we do? How can we, you know, help all of the people? What are we looking for? Because we're looking for new business partners. And what are those characteristics? And I'm like, you know what? I don't even want anybody that's just interested anymore. I only want obsessed people, because obsessed people are going to do big things. And there's a place for everyone on the team. Network marketing, as we know, can absolutely be a part-time hobby for people. And the people I want to spend my time with are the obsessed, the people who will get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get their workout in on most days and get ready and go live and do all of the things, and are asking, what else can I do? What else can I do? I did all of this. Now what can I do? What else should I be doing to hit this goal? What did you do over the weekend? Did you play or did you work? So sometimes everybody's like, well, weekends are meant, we're ingrained with this 8 to 5, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday nonsense. Now, Sundays are another story. I will say that a lot of Sundays, I like to at least rest for the first half of the day, or do church and then rest. And then in the evenings, a lot of times I'll map out my week for the week. I don't work on Sundays. I try not to. But Monday through Saturday, it's game on. Saturdays are work days for me. All day Friday are work days for me. Right now, I'm obsessed with hitting my goal. Absolutely obsessed. I need to get a little more obsessed. And if I'm telling you that I think I need to get a little more obsessed, and you know me, that means you got to get a lot more obsessed, a lot more than me. So obsessed people do things that most people won't, but obsessed people get to the point where you will probably never get. So if that big, hairy, scary goal is something that you look at and you're like, ooh, I can do that. Or is it something you're looking at and still questioning yourself? Ooh, am I really going to be able to do that? I don't really know if I can get that many people or get my team to move that fast, or I don't know if I have the time to really put into it. You need to reevaluate what you're doing. Maybe this isn't the thing you're obsessed about. Maybe it's a different goal. Maybe it's something that really needs to move you when your eyes pop open in the morning. When my eyes popped open this morning and I was like, really? I got to do this again? That is the first thought that goes through my head on most mornings. I am not lying. I have to choose what I want. I could choose to keep laying there and be a sloth and not get any of my goals accomplished. Or I could hop out of bed and decide, no, dang it, it doesn't matter. I can't. And sometimes I'll sit there and have a conversation with myself. Like, it's just one Monday. Just let yourself rest a little bit. It's just one Monday. And then my obsessed brain kicks in and it's like, no, you don't get to just, it's one Monday at Jessica, get out of bed. You have to. I have those conversations with myself on a lot of days. I don't want you guys to think that people wake up. I mean, is there people out there that wake up and just are like, yes, I'm motivated. I am ready to go every single morning. Yes, there's people like Kristen Scott out there. She's abnormal. Okay. She goes and like gets on a cycle at 4:30 in the morning. It's weird. I'm just kidding. But I would say I'm an average person when it comes to that. I do wake up with cobwebs that I got to personally choose to get out of the way. I don't wake up on mornings feeling like $1 million right when my eyes pop open and I'm going to go dominate and crush the world. Do I have some days like that? Yeah. But I have a lot of days, more than half of my days, I have to convince myself. Now, it happens pretty fast for me now. I will say that. I know where I want to go. So even when those cobwebs are in there creeping around, making things hard in the morning, I have a few things that I do first thing in the morning that I know are going to clear those cobwebs out. If you don't have that, find it. Get obsessed. Get obsessed with making yourself better. Get obsessed with a process. Get obsessed with a plan. Get obsessed with the outcome. Get obsessed about what you're doing. If you're constantly finding yourself making excuses for why you're not getting things done or why you're not starting something, you are not obsessed enough yet with your goal. Maybe that will never happen for you. I hope that it doesn't. I hope that you can figure out what that goal is that's enough for you to be obsessed about, because I'm sorry, unless the product or service is actually yours and you own it, no one's ever going to get that obsessed about that product or that service. They're obsessed with what the outcome will be. That's what will keep you going when it's a Monday morning and you don't feel like getting out of bed. The obsession about where you are going. And if you're not there yet, because you still keep waking up every morning and making excuses for yourself on a Thursday afternoon of why you don't want to put any more time, effort, or energy into your business, but you definitely haven't got where you're supposed to be on Thursday, you are not obsessed enough yet with that end goal. Pick a new one. Or realize that it's just not there for you. There's a different motivation you're going to need. So I have a video. I'm actually going to put a link. So into, hopefully this works. I'm going to put it in the chat over here so you can copy it. I will also go put it in a couple of chats. It's an hour long. So like I said, it's just something that, make sure it's the right one. Yeah.
If I told you that,
sorry. So I put it in the chat there. I will put it in a couple of other places so nobody misses it. It's an hour long. Listen to it in the car, get some really good insight. If you like it, and if you like the points that Tim Grover is making, I highly recommend his book. Winning is his newest book. I would read Relentless first. I got Winning. I just haven't finished it. It reminded me to get back on it because I do believe if we surround ourselves with more obsessed people, if we feed our brains with people who are obsessed with their thing, we will move in that direction of being obsessed with our thing. And we'll start taking on some of those characteristics and thought processes to be obsessed about hitting our own goals. So on this Monday morning, see, I said I only had a few minutes for you guys. Already went a half hour because I'm obsessed with talking. On this Monday morning, I want you guys to decide if you're obsessed about where you're headed. And if you are not, it's plan, do, review time. Are you here just for the community? Are you here to just be a Zoom zombie? Or are you here because you're obsessed with where you're going? Now then go show me. Go show you. What are you going to do today? I know, like, there's so many things I can do today in between on my phone, sending out messages, sending out invites to events this week, talking to people about what I'm doing, making plans for hitting my goals. There's so much I can do today to be obsessed about what my end goal is and take one step further or 10 steps further today to get there. You know what obsessed means? Obsessed means in the next 90 to 100 days. Let's see how many we have. We have like 90, 100, maybe 100 and so days left of the year. Maybe it means you don't get 8 hours of sleep every night. Shoot, that would suck. I like my 8 hours of sleep, but how obsessed are you about hitting your goal? Find out what you can take and move out of your schedule for the next 100 days. That's going to help you provide more time to work on that goal that you absolutely want to crush. We got to get all the excuses out of the way. We need to become obsessed about where we're headed. We need to find those people who are going to help us get there. And then we need to go do it and not make any excuses. Okay. This is the way you start your day. This is the way you start your week. If you are the Lavelle team, I will see you tomorrow morning. I have some really great plans for you tomorrow morning. We are all obsessed about hitting a number over there. And I want to help you do that. I committed to you guys for the next, whatever that is, 8 weeks or something. Okay. So I will see you tomorrow morning. Let's go absolutely crush it out there today and for the rest of this week. And we will see you tomorrow morning and on Wednesday morning. Bye.